Okay.
Heavenly Father, we just come to your throne of grace and of mercy. And oh Lord, where will we be without you? We just thank you for your grace and your love and your long suffering and all the things that you have extended toward us, Lord. We thank you for your grace and your mercy today. Father, we just pray that as we come together and for this meeting, this class, or this uplifting moment, that we would be inspired by your Holy Spirit, that you would give us something to hold on to feast up on, to just be nourished by your word tonight. And we thank you and we give you glory and honor. And we pray for every participant that has come on, and that you would just flood their souls with whatever they need tonight. Yes. To give them that extra boost, that push to hold on just a little while longer. Mm-hmm. But God, there is no failure in you. Yes. And we thank you and we give you the glory. In the precious name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Thank you so much. I had an exercise, and so those of you who will help me, I'm going to go right into that little quick exercise tonight as we open up our class. Kingdom Woman has really, if I could get y'all to stick with me, I'm trying to bring it out the best that I can, but I found it a very interesting study, a very great study, because it touches the heart of woman, and it's encouraging, it's enlightening, and I think that if we continue to study with it, it may even lift up some of our burdens, because it's not all the time that we get a chance to be ministered to. We kind of be ministered to in a group, but I was just led to do something that we could actually have a no nonsense. We won't even stay in the book. Once we get through with the sections, we're going to continue and be able to share and to talk about things that make the difference. So as I always tell everybody, this is a no judgment zone. I don't care about raw. I don't care about lifestyle. I don't care about anything at this point. I just believe God has led us to minister to the whole woman and to talk about things. You know, one of the things that I really, really, really appreciate y'all joining. And I want us to even target some of those young women. I promise you, they don't understand what they're missing in life, because I know a lot of them that I have targeted, and they need this. They're facing things. You can hear them talking about stuff, and I don't know about you all, but you kind of just grab your face sometime when you hear them younger talking, because you're like, oh, they got a lot to learn. And so this is also an opportunity for you to do an outreach for other women, other younger women, young adult women who they don't know what they need. But when we hear them talking, that I believe that this is why a lot of suicide, we have seen a lot of suicide over the years, because they're so far from the truth, and so far from the support that they really need, and they're gaining it in groups and social media and things, and there is no truth there. And then they got to know that some of us have testimonies, because we have come through some really hills and mountains and valleys that have made a difference in our lives. And I think that we have enough that we can share. So welcome, Michelle. I hope you can hear. So I got a little exercise, and I want y'all to go with me. Tonight, what I had done was I gave out some homework to the young ladies, and I want y'all to help me. I want you to be able to take the letters, acronyms, and making acronyms in Queen, and describe yourself. Take Q-U-E-E-N, and everybody don't have to go at the same time. And if you leave out one, you leave out one, but go in, and I want y'all to participate and tell me what each letter in Queen would mean for you. I'm gonna give you a minute. Okay, you can get your little piece of paper and and or get your thoughts. And let that describe you. Oh man. I want y'all to work on it now. Y'all go ahead. Even if you have to put it in chat, if you're not where you can talk. Okay, we got 2 that are joining in. Oh, look at there. There's Latia Monk. Hey, Tia. So for those of you who are wonderful, glad to have y'all. For those of you that's just joining us, we are taking the letters in Queen, and we are describing ourselves. So we're doing a little exercise, and hopefully you'll do it with us. Even if you're busy, you're having issues, I like that, LaDarian. You can post it in the chat. And welcome, Latia. So I decided that I was wait until you guys were working on it so that I could work on it at the same time. So we're gonna give you about, I'm gonna give you 3 minutes. All right, anybody ready yet? Woo! Oh my God.
So what's the issue?
Okay, you gotta take Q-U-E-E-N, and then you're gonna, what you're gonna do is you're gonna describe yourself with Q-U-E-E-N. Put a word to each letter. All right, who wants to go first? Y'all probably gonna laugh at mine, but anyways. Okay, who's gonna volunteer to go first? And then we're gonna move right into the lesson. I'm just listening, I'm on my way home from Little Rock. Okay. All right, good. Okay, we'll put it in, you can put it in the chat if you want to. All right, who wanna go first? Anybody gonna participate?
Give me a moment. I'm still trying to figure it out.
You're still trying to figure it out. Well, I'm gonna go first then. How about that? And I waited to do it with y'all because it doesn't have to be deep or spooky or anything like that. And because I can't really think of just a whole lot of, my vocabulary is not that great. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Okay. So I'm gonna say for Q, I'm gonna say queen for mine. Stands for Q. I believe I'm a queen. U is unique. Now don't take this.
That's the same one I picked for you, Britt. I mean, Pastor Britt.
E, don't take this the wrong way. Ain't no men on here. E is for easy. I'm gonna say easy going. I don't want to just say easy. E is for economical. And and N is for nice. So there's mine.
Wow.
Y'all don't think I'm
Hey, I was thinking, I swear, I was thinking the same thing for N and the U.
okay? Well, let's go with it then. Go ahead. Tell yours, Sharon.
Well, okay, Q was for quality.
Hmm.
U was for unique. E, one of the E's for me was endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Another E, I really didn't come up with anything yet, but I was thinking easy, but
You know
I
what?
don't know if I'm that. I don't know if that's me or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
And Ian, a lot of times I try to remain neutral.
Okay. All right. Somebody else? And those of you that's having problems, if y'all can put yours in chat, that would be fun. We'll read it out. I can see it. Okay. Who else want to share?
I'm gonna put them in the chat.
You gonna put it on chat? Okay.
I'll say mine.
Okay, go ahead, Tia.
Okay. I have quirky, unique, it, emotional, and nice.
Okay. Well, now I got that emotional part. That's for real.
That's good. I like that.
I like the quirky. I hadn't thought about quirky, but that'll work for you too. All right. Kolanda got Q is quiet, unique, exciting. Get this, extra, and nice. All right. Okay. Who's next?
I got mine.
Mhm.
Well, leave it. Tia got my quirky. I had that.
Oh my goodness.
I had essential,
Oh,
just like needed. And I had extra and example. An example. Um, and I guess I really couldn't figure out Ian, so I'm gonna use y'all's nice for Ian. I hope.
okay. Now I'm gonna say I didn't want to break up the class because I really thought about my E. I was gonna say exotic. That's all I could think of. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. All right. So we just did a little icebreaker. Every time we get in the class, I try to start something to break the ice with us. And then one of the things that I've learned in studying women is we should be able to, when we are secure women, strong women, we have to learn to identify ourselves. We did an exercise in one of our classes and we took a mirror, and we may do that. You may get a mirror. We may do that exercise, and we took a mirror and we asked everybody to take that mirror and tell us what you saw. Believe it or not, you guys, there were a couple of women that were in the class that began to cry because they did not like what they saw. And it was hard. One of them didn't even want to pick up the mirror. And I didn't think it would be that challenging, but as women, we do a lot of things. We make huge sacrifices in our lives. And sometimes some women more than others are in that predicament where on the inside, we can be seen on the outside as beautiful, as brave, as strong, as witty, as all of these things, having quality and so forth. But on the inside, which is what really counts, and what really counts is what we think about ourselves, that is broken, torn up, tired, you name it, we got it going on, okay? And so we're gonna, from time to time, we're gonna do these things until we can come up quickly, be able to describe ourselves very quickly and in a positive, delivered, and whole manner, okay? So thank you for joining, Terica. So we're getting ready to go to the lesson for tonight, and this is our third session. Let me find, just a minute, let me get out of here and let's see. I'm going to lower everything so that I can get out of the YouTube.
Pastor Brett. And go to my book.
Okay. And then I'm going to bring
Pastor
that.
Brett.
Yes. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
We have a male in my home, then he has listening to our conversation, and he wants to make a statement.
Okay, go right ahead.
Hey, Pastor Brett, this is Ron Portis. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Yeah, ladies, I did not mean to eavesdrop in your conversation. I was just kind of walking to the kitchen, and I caught the last half for what Pastor Brett said. But I'd like to add something. A lot of people are struggling with self-worth, self-esteem, self-image, and all that stuff. And a lot of women are, and I agree with what you said. You should look in the mirror and appreciate the strong, the vital, and empowered woman that you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's more important is that you remember who you are in God's eyes. If he decided to send his son to die on the cross and to take your sins, then how valuable are you? If this is the God that spoke the universe into existence, then what need do you have to fear? If he says you are wonderfully made, you are a miracle every day, then if we could just see ourselves from God's perspective, I think a lot of the things that attack us from the world point of view would have no effect. We would see that we are more than a match, that we are more than conquerors. And I think because we don't really see that often enough, we've not told that often enough, we tend to think of ourselves as poor little weak sinners who just saved by grace and who just barely get by on a day-to-day basis. You got to see yourself as a warrior, somebody who's meant to put on this earth to resist Satan, not to fight him, but to resist him, because God is going to do the fighting for you. At least that's
All right. Thank you so
my
much.
understanding.
That's
So that's all I wanted to say, ladies. Enjoy your conversation every once in a while.
all right. Thank you. Thank you. Because that is ultimately where we're going to get to, is what does God have to say? What does God think about us? And if we can receive that we are the apple of his eye, then we can see the value in who we are and what we are to him. So picking up on the lesson, this is actually the third section. So I'm going to try to bring it up for some of you who are just joining. We are studying from Kingdom Woman Study, and you can actually download this book on Kindle Books or order one or so forth. But it is Kingdom Woman, and it is authored by Tony Evans and Crystal Evans Hurst, which is his daughter. And Crystal talks about in her foreword is that when her father came to her and asked her to co-author this, she felt that she was not a kingdom woman. She had too much disarray in her life to feel that she was worth or worthy enough to talk about what a kingdom woman is. We've talked about a lot of things. First of all, we talked about what do we mean when we are talking about the kingdom or a kingdom woman, which having a difference in kingdom woman is the difference in a church woman. There's a big difference in just being a church woman and being a kingdom woman. There's a difference in church and kingdom. And Tony Evans talks about a lot of times is that we are connecting to church activity, church ways, church thoughts, but we're not teaching and we're not connecting to the kingdom, which is in a totally different dominion. The scripture talks about the kingdom of God is his joy, peace, and righteousness. It's not deep, it's not spooky, but it has another place in God that overshadows any type of activity, any type of physical activity that we can be involved in life. Okay. The last study we talked about, we're still defining the kingdom woman, and I want to go back a little bit here, and it talks about charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the reward she has earned, and let her works bring her praise at the city gates. And so, as you can see, this is Proverbs 31. And I promise you, everything that I've learned, as well as the author has talked about, the idea of the Proverbs woman made it seem like I would never add up to the Proverbs woman. But we're looking more at, it talks about what sets a kingdom woman apart from any woman, that these two scriptures, if you go and read the Proverbs, this is what sets the kingdom woman apart. It's her fear of God. We explained the fact that it wasn't a chilling type kind of fear of God, where you're scared you're going to go to heaven or scared you're going to go to hell, or where you're just afraid to move and you got a bunch of do's and don'ts. It is your reverence. Here the author says her reverence determines her actions, her thoughts, her words, and her priorities. So where is the place of God in our lives? And as a woman, a kingdom woman, or as a Christian, period, you know, our actions is comes out of our reverence to what God has told us, what God's truth, God's antidote for life, so that we can be proactive in our actions, are not all over the way and unstable and these sort of things. Okay, so it says without that, the demands of life would overwhelm any woman. I don't know if any of you agree with that, but I'm gonna tell you experience I had this morning. I've been up since 3:30. I took a little nap. I worked from, I don't want to get some, bring me some tissue back. At 3:30, I started just tumbling and I'm talking about how you have to have the fear of the Lord to bring you through. But it was a lot of things that began to come on my mind and in my heart. It was 3:30 this morning. God is so good. So I tried to go back to sleep, and I might have slept, or what was supposed to have been sleep, for about 30 more minutes. And then I got on up. And within the time that I went to my office, I had done a number of things, but the biggest thing that I did was I began to search the scripture. I began to pray. Every time I had a thought, I would pray. And the Lord led me over to Philippians, and I began to study Philippians, all of it. I just started a study of Philippians. And when I got through, the Lord said, well, you just encouraged yourself. You know, there are things that we face in life that we have to learn we are not alone. But because God has an antidote for some of the things that were in my heart, and let me tell you, this is awesome. This is not a dreadful tear that I have. This is honoring God, because even in my prayer, as the things would come to my mind that I was concerned about, I would bow my head down at the computer and I would pray for it. I pray for y'all. And when I got to work, and my son is a witness, and I had prayed and I said, God, I said, my goal is to make $1,000 a week in my business. Now that's for now, because that ain't enough, okay, to at least make $1,000. Before I left the house, after I had honored God in my situation and my circumstance, encouraged myself and brought things before the altar, by the end of the day, I made more than $1,000. Y'all don't hear me though. That's just one
Praise God.
And it started, and I looked at my phone when I got through. Sister Sharon called, and I was getting ready. And by the time I got through, I walked out of talking to her, and my phone just started dinging. And the funny thing is, a guy that owed me $700 from ended up being $600 from 2 years ago, had gone
Praise
to
God.
his account and said, I owe you and I want to pay you. Ain't God good? And I'm talking about,
Amen.
that's the type of see, the things that were on my mind and in my heart, I could have just gone spastic, need to get a blood pressure pill, call somebody, start opening my mouth. Pastor preached on Sunday how we have to learn to say the right things and put them in the atmosphere. But that's what we're talking about when we're talking about fearing God. Then we fear God because we let him in. So a woman who fears the Lord will receive the praise that is due her. Her works and the products of her hands will give her the recognition and the validation that are hers. Get this, alone. When a woman understands who she is and how God made her, when she pursues her destiny in light of how God created her to function, what she does will produce remarkable results. And I like what Brother Ron brought us. It's encouraging to hear men who would encourage us as well. Because when you think about the things that we produce, I want y'all to share in that. I'm gonna give you some example of what strengthened me. One time that I realized that there is a woman that holds the torch to the world. There's a whole statue. They could have put a man there, but they put a woman there that's holding a
Praise
torch
God.
to the world. Can y'all tell me any other example that shows us as a woman and how and what we can produce through who we are? Somebody.
In the scriptures, the prophetess Deborah,
Mhm.
they wouldn't even go into battle without her being there.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she doesn't go. We're not going into battle. I'm not going. What was I forget who it was. Was it Absalom, Pastor Pace?
Judges, it's in Judges.
But I just remember that
Right.
the man, he would not even go into battle
Was that
unless
Gideon?
he was going into battle with him.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Any
And
other?
not only was she
Mhm.
a prophetess, she was a judge.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And he felt secure because she was with him.
Right.
Anybody else? That was Gideon. That was Gideon. That was right. That was
Oh,
Gideon.
Gideon, that's right. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. Who else? Anybody else can think of anything? Okay. So and you know what? We do remarkable things as women. So it goes on to say this is because it will be in line with God's will. What too many women frequently do is base their decisions on trying to please others or trying to earn acceptance, appreciation, or a sense of worth from their decisions, appearance, or actions. Somebody discuss that. How do you feel about that? Or have you experienced that?
I'm sorry. Could you state that one more time?
Okay. The author says what too many women frequently do is base their decisions on trying to please others or trying to earn acceptance, appreciation, or a sense of worth from their decisions, appearance, or actions.
Okay. Oftentimes women feel the pressure from society and
Mhm.
from the traditional church to fit in. So we're often seeking acceptance, and so we become people pleasers
Hmm.
in that aspect. And
Okay.
at the same time, while we're trying to please people, we forget who we are, if that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We forget what God said about us, that we're
Mm-hmm.
fearfully and wonderfully made, meaning he gave us the tools and the confidence and the resources to be us. But we
Mm-hmm.
have somehow conformed to what society deems how we should be, how we should walk, how we should talk, how we should dress, how we
Mm-hmm.
should present ourselves rather than being ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we fall into the pitfalls of being people pleasers and, just simply trying to fit in instead of standing out and being the purpose individual that God called us to be.
Amen. Amen. What about family? Somebody discuss it from a family. She said from a church perspective. I agree with that wholeheartedly because traditional church has torn up a lot of women, and you know, some of the best of us. Some people walked away from it because of that. Some women not in pulpits because we're not believed to be the preacher. Some of us have to wear these god-awful head dresses and long or short or thick stockings. I mean, it's an age-old situation. What about family now? when we talk about trying to please others or trying to earn acceptance of parents, what about in our families? Anybody want to share anything, or have you felt that pressure? Can you give an example?
I think in that case, I want to be accepted because you don't want to be rejected as looking has been as looked at as the black sheep of the family, or somebody different, or just don't want to conform, or don't but it can become a lot of pressure. And so you're not only dealing with when it's his family, it's just not one person. It's family. It's like a clan or a tribe coming at you. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times you just feel that you don't want to go through that rejection, or to feel like, especially if you're rebelling. You know what I'm saying?
Anybody else?
I'd like to add to that and give a little bit of my personal testimony. In my family in particular, I am the black sheep. So my family has placed a whole lot of pressure on me to fit in, and I never fit in, it's always been this thing about I wasn't good enough, or I didn't measure up to whatever their standard was. And the funny thing is, now that I can see, they ain't measured up. They are not all they put on to be. But we put these conditions on people, unrealistic conditions on people, and dehumanize each other to live up to the standard that's non-existent, and I don't think God is pleased with that, because we tear each other down in the process. Holiday gatherings have turned into gossip sessions, and it creates discord and division in the family, which is, the MO of the enemy.
Wow, that's a whole nother study.
Yeah.
Right. And so here the author says, so he said, yet God never said that you, and that's what we want to get to, is the truth. God never said that you would receive praise for trying to please others. He said you would receive praise for fearing him. When you go back to the scripture that we just read in Proverbs, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised, not a woman who pleases other people and what other people think that she should be. The basis of how a kingdom woman functions come out of her fear of God. So I want to move on over and talk about, I'm kind of bringing y'all back up to snuff. So the simplest way it says, I know to define what it means to fear God is to take God seriously. I like that. His definition makes it very simple. It's just to take God seriously. It means to place what God says and what God requires as the highest priority in your life. Fearing God does not mean that you are scared of him. Fear is better understood as reverence or awe. It means to hold in highest esteem, and a kingdom woman fears the Lord in every area. That's job, that's children, that's husbands, that's friends, that's neighbors, that's community, that's school, education, that's anything that has to do with our lives. That's what we take God and put him in. And it works. All I can say is it's worked for me when I've done it the right way. So tonight, let me go through this before I bring y'all up. It talks about the results of fearing God. So we went through that. Yes, the Proverbs woman 31 did a lot. She earned her husband's trust. She made clothes for her family. She got her food from the choicest providers, and she invested in a small business with her earnings from planting a vineyard. She helped the poor, took care of those within her home, and dressed herself and her children in quality clothes. She brought respect to her husband and wisdom to those around her. Keep in mind, though, she lived in a day and a culture where planting a vineyard did not mean that she did it all on her own. That was the topic of tonight. It's okay to get help, because the passage that her arms were strong, so we know she did some of it, but based on the cultural norms of the day, it is likely that she hired others to work in her vineyard. She would have had maidservants who helped around the home, washed clothes, prepared food, and more. How many of you women take pride in doing everything on your own? It can't be done if you don't do it. Now, I ain't got none of them tonight.
Amen.
Y'all like, oh, that ain't me. So-
Sometimes we think can't nobody do it better than us, okay?
Right.
That's it. And we think that we're supposed to do it all. If it don't get done, it don't get done if we don't do it. And that brings a lot of pressure on us too. It don't have to be anybody on the outside, but if that's the type of person we are, then that's, and some of us who are, because I'm guilty, have to learn, have a learned response. And then, you know, and then it's where it came from. It's kind of like, you know, I have to honestly say some of my doing comes because as a child, I've been disappointed in quite a few things coming up as a child. And so instead of not having it happen for me, I took it on. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna blame anybody else for not getting it done. And that nature just caught on that if I don't do it, it don't get done. And not that like I want it, but it's because I do want it. And so then it kind of I have to honestly say, it kind of gives me fits for somebody to tell me what I can't have. Because I've had too many disappointments and too many times for people to tell me what I can't have, what I don't need, why you want this, why you want it blue, why you want it pink, why you want it this, why? Why are you asking? You know? And I know that comes out of a different place that some people don't understand because it wasn't their experience. But that's how some of us get caught into doing our own thing because we didn't have a choice in the matter. If I was going to survive, I'll put it like this. I have to be, I'm a survivor. And I've had to learn to move from being a survivor to being a conqueror. Because now I don't surviving almost like hanging on by a thread. So I'm pushing all the time to make it. But there has to be a time in our lives when we move from surviving to thriving. Knowing that, guess what? Knowing that the fear of God, knowing that God has us. God has our back. No weapon formed against us will prosper. God is our fortress. God is our, you see what I'm saying? And I've had to learn that, and that we can trust God. And we'll never fail if we trust him. So when you break down all that Proverbs 31 woman did and translate it into a contemporary times, it really doesn't sound as lofty. It really does. Somebody came in. I'm trying to get them back in if I need to.
That was cool. She left and then came back.
Oh, okay. Okay. Some of us, it says, it really doesn't sound as lofty and unattainable. Essentially, she honored and respected her husband. She fed and clothed her family with the healthiest and finest she could afford. She invested the use of her skills in a personal business, spoke wisely and kindly to others, dressed herself attractively, and helped the poor. All of those actions can easily translate into your world today. And it says, I don't want you to feel that what she attained is so far out of reach from what God is able to do through you, because it's not. What it comes down to is that her fear and reverence for God caused her to do the best she could with what she had. I like this, to promote God's kingdom and goodness in her own life and the lives of those around her. In our opening lesson, it was a challenge to the young women as to What do you exemplify, or do you exemplify the kingdom when you walk out your door or when you wake up in your household? What do you exemplify? What part of the kingdom can people see in your life? So we're closing out, won't even take me long. Y'all stay with me. Help is not bad. Okay, so now I done brought you all the way up. An important principle that is often overlooked when we examine the life of the Proverbs 31 woman is that she was not too proud to get help. Wow.
Praise God.
You know, and I'm very practical, and I probably think of things that probably nobody else think of, but you know, I even think about food stamps. Can I say that? When people put weights on us, I've seen women say, whisper about their issues. I don't want everybody to know. Well, I would go get some food, but I don't want to go to the pen. And here's what I keep hearing through the pandemic. I've heard people say, well, I don't want to go. They're giving away food. I'm going to let somebody else who needs it get it. Now, you made right. Nobody asked. Nobody said you were needy. The government made it available. So sometimes we have to watch that because we don't want the type of help. I'm reminded of the story that was told at the Baptist church about the man who was trying to get to heaven. And remember, he was sent a boat, a yacht, a canoe, all this kind of stuff, and a helicopter. And then he was drowning. Y'all remember this story? He was drowning.
Mm-hmm.
And then the boat came by and he said, I'm waiting on Jesus. Okay, so he didn't catch the boat. Then I'm gonna make up something now because I forgot all. I do know a helicopter came. So then you got the big boat came by. He said he was waiting on Jesus. Now he's still drowning. And and they tell the story where the big boat or the helicopter came and it was like, hey, here's a lifeline. Take the lifeline and we'll stop it from drowning. And he said, oh, we're waiting on Jesus. And then after he died, he get to the pearly gates and ask, what happened? I was waiting on you. And then Jesus turns around and say, I sent you help. You didn't take not now one of them. Well, that's a whole nother subject because Pastor preached about that, being able to see Jesus the other side. Y'all got to go back and watch YouTube. But Pastor been preaching some good word on that about us being able to see Jesus. So, and he talked about that after Easter, his after Easter messages he been preaching. So in verse 15, we read, she get up while it is still dark. She provides food for her family, portions for her, what? Servant girls, which is proof that she had help, right? Servant girls is not a term that we use today. In ancient Hebrew society, it referred to a handmaid or a helper. It is a small reference to a very important truth. As I mentioned earlier, the kingdom woman in Proverbs 31 didn't try to do it all on her own. She had help. She was diligent, resourceful, and productive, yet she didn't do it by herself. Okay, so we got to get that in our spirit that we can let go and we can let other people help us and we can seek help. And there's no shame in that. You don't lose no dignity. You don't have to have so much pride and dignity that, hey, you can't take a free can of beans, but since I got money, I'll go buy me some beans. You don't even know if the Lord is trying to multiply your finances. He may be setting you up for the future because in this season, we've got to understand what type of season God, although COVID, the pandemic has been here. This is like, let me say this, that God has sent a wave through that if we can see him in this season, y'all, we gonna come out greater than we were before the pandemic. And he's setting us up to come out that way, but we got to see it. If you remember, you had the Great Depression, right? When everybody thought you couldn't make it. And all kind of businesses and all kind of millionaires came out of it. God is turning this thing around. And so he's in the help. That's it. So we've got to know where our resource, our ultimate resource come from, and examine things. The key to your destiny is humbly acknowledging your dependence on God and maximizing all he provides you, even if that includes accepting or using the help of others. For example, in the corporate world, a manager would not be considered a great manager if she tried to do everybody's job herself. A great manager knows how to draw out the best from those around her while simultaneously leading and complementing their efforts. You don't have to achieve your destiny alone. And I'm going to summarize Crystal's Chronicles. I always watch the time. I know some of you were late, but I try to keep it within the hour. But Crystal's Chronicles is Crystal, at the end of each of the chapters, Crystal talks personally about herself. And in her chronicles, this is why y'all go back and read this if you go ahead and download the book. But in her chronicles, you guys, she's talking about how she has a husband who's in the music business. They're in ministry. She's got kids going on, and her life was in a disarray. Her house was simply a mess. And she talked about her dad came over one day unannounced. And when he walked through her house, this was funny. When he walked through her house, he was like, Crystal, this is what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing. And she said, the kind of dad that he is, he decided to start helping her clean up. And then she understood that a lot of things that she was doing, she was actually trying to do it on her own. She was trying to raise the kids. She was trying to cook, clean. Her husband was off doing what he needed to do. They're trying to keep up with ministry. And it was just a mess. And she said the way she keeps her house even is that she basically is not, it's untidy, but she don't keep her house where people can't come in, you know. She like to have a notice so she can clean all the way up. But other than that, she live in her house.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's what your house is to be lived in. It's not a showcase, okay?
Right, but some people, I walked in people's houses where they had white carpet, you had to take your shoes off, they had the couch with what you call it, with plastic on it, and yeah, I don't visit people like that because my house is lived in too. I want it clean,
Okay.
but it's lived in, believe you me. So so she started comparing herself or looked at the fact that other people were doing the same thing, and started comparing herself to her friend. And so this is when she talked about a friend. When she took a look at it, her friends who were keeping everything tidy and spotless, they didn't have the same responsibility. So I think the moral to the story is you have to live within your environment and make it work for you and have no embarrassment about it. My thing is, if anybody don't like it, they don't have to come. And if they don't like it, do what Daddy did. Help me clean up. Just don't come walk over it. Cause see, my sister them used to make fun of me and say, "Ooh, you got a whole baseball team." Cause they have as many kids as I have. So they joke around and stuff and talk about my baseball team and how we are and all that kind of stuff. I've had that for years. But you know what? Do we just step over everything and we just keep going? So how does the story end? Well, the Lord sent me help. My daddy lovingly told me, well, that's the story I just told you. And she goes ahead to illustrate those things, okay? So I'm getting ready to close. Y'all stay with me. As a recovering do-it-all-aholic, I am right there with you in letting those unrealistic expectations go. That's something, now skipping over, trying to get to the end. We put high expectations on ourselves. My oldest sister actually I'm about to go crazy because I do have all these children and they hard-headed. I have no doubt my children don't like cleaning. I don't think anybody in my house like cleaning up, okay? And if they could put it off on me, that's what everybody will do. I'm responsible for everything. And I was about to go crazy because I was like, when I do clean up or put something over here, everybody lives everywhere. I can't find a compartment and keep it. It's gonna be everywhere. I can organize dishes. And when I go to my cabinets, I promise you, they don't know that, in elementary school, you know how you learn, I forgot what you call it, sequence, how to stack things in order, like if it's big, medium, small, tiny, and you stack it. There's no sense of that in my household whatsoever. So in my cabinets, after I clean them up, if I do clean them up, everybody gonna wash them, and then we're gonna stack a pot on top of a cookie sheet, and then you're gonna take a skillet. And I be like, why didn't y'all take all the skillets and stack them up by size? Why you didn't stack the
Right.
pots in somewhere, put the lid over here? Why you hanging clothes over the chair that I only put over here for decoration? You got a closet, you got a whatever. And I was about a nervous wreck. And I called my sister Kay. How did you do it? Because you had wild boys too. How did you do it? Kay said, forget everything and go live. She helped me get delivered. Because I wanted it in certain places, but that wasn't happening. And nobody pays me no attention to this day. They just live. They just do what they want to do. So I just walk over it too. You can't beat him, you join him. So every now and then I clean up, and that's that. So as a recovering do-it-all-aholic, I am ready, right there with you in letting those unrealistic expectations go. Rest in the Lord's expectations for you. He knows what you need, and he loves you greatly. He answered my prayer, a dark 30, when I told him I just couldn't do it all. And he said, Crystal, I know that. I've been waiting a long time for you to know that. Remember Martha and Mary? It is so easy for us as women to focus on the doing rather than on, most importantly, the being and a vibrant relationship with our Savior. And I don't know if y'all know, but all the rest of this stuff can be very distracting. How many times have we said, I don't have time to meditate, I don't have time to pray, because we either up ironing, cooking, starting the day, doing something else, and we don't have time to really be developed and love on God and him love on us and us to hear. It's very easy to get that way. Fearing God means that his program is your program. His plan is your plan, and his purposes are the purposes you live to fulfill. Fearing God means that you are clear on the idea that your life is actually, get this, his life, and that he is living through you. As a wise mentor once shared this thought, each morning before you allow your feet to hit the floor, lie in bed for one purposeful moment, longer than you normally would. Stretch your arms towards the ceiling and in effect toward heaven, and offer yourself to the Lord, inviting him to show you what the most important thing is on his list for you to get done today. If you do not stop to ask him what his priorities are for you, your good will always get in the way of God's best. And I'm gonna end it on that note tonight. Do we have any comments or sharing before we close?
That was powerful at the end. Your good can keep you from his best by your own works,
And thinking that we were doing the right thing. That's when he talks about Mary and Martha. That's, a lot of people, they down Martha, but I know what Martha was saying. I know what she was doing. And she was thinking that she was doing the right thing. And Mary just turned around and dropped to his feet and started, worshiping. And poor Martha, she trying to clean up the atmosphere. And she like, you did the wrong thing. What? How anybody feel like that? You thought you were doing the right thing? And then you didn't realize you were doing the wrong thing. You were doing the right thing, I would say this, at the wrong time. And so, you see, ladies that joined us, Michelle, LaBrittany, Latia, anything inspire you on tonight? I want to hear y'all voices, and hopefully this blessed you on tonight, and you be willing to continuously connect with us. I hear you, Michelle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, mercy.
Was it
Well,
any?
I enjoyed the lesson tonight.
Mhm.
It was interesting.
Okay.
So that's about it for right now.
Okay. Well, that's good. Brittany, Tia. They probably listen to TV at the same time. Okay.
No, I
Okay.
don't say much. It was good. I was listening. You hit some points that, that are realistic for people. So it's good to have some realistic things and not, talking over everybody and not, talking about things that may not be attainable.
Mhm.
Good.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. I like that. All right. Okay. Well, we're gonna close out. Terica, since you on with me tonight, this helps me a lot, not have to do everything. Would you close us out with prayer and any comments that y'all have? We got our Women Free Indeed page, and we got the Great I Am Temple family page. Then you just got Facebook. Post something that that may have made a difference tonight. Hashtag Ladies of Royalty Bible Study, and let's begin to bump it up and minister to others as well as ourselves. And I just want to thank you guys for joining me tonight, and hopefully come back the same time next Wednesday night. And the men are averaging about 8 to 10 on their call on Thursday night. So we got to get this up. So Pastor put out that challenge a couple Sundays ago. So we need to beat him. We need to get some more women on here and show them we can do this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead, Tarek. I'm done.
Father God, we thank you for this session, oh God. God, we thank you for Pastor Pace for bringing the lesson on tonight. God, I want to pray for every woman on this line. I ask that you continue to encourage their hearts, oh God. Continue to make your word come alive to them, oh God, in the name of Jesus, and make it applicable to their daily lives, oh God. Awaken their hearts, minds, and spirits to be able to want to follow you even the more. And God, I ask that you make provision for them, oh God. Provide help in the areas that they need help. In the name of Jesus, I ask you to open doors that no man can shut in this season for every woman on this line and everyone connected to them. In Christ Jesus' name, we give you praise, glory, and honor. Amen.
Amen. God bless you. See you Sunday. Bye-bye.
Yes, ma'am.